You lock me in your gaze, and try though I might, I cannot look away. You're not what I expected to find, and now I'm forgetting why I should run from your side. Yeah. One gentle kiss, the pain alleviates. Poisonous lips annihilate me, and every dream that I trade for this bliss. But who can resist? I'm starving alone in the wilderness. Beautiful distraction, keep me hypnotized, and I fall for the enemy. Powerless reaction, I am paralyzed, and now you get the best of me. Is there no one safe from your deceit and lies? I know I've been told this road isn't paved with gold, but I see it glitter now. I'm sold for the enemy. My hands are tied. You've captured your next slave.
Hey, Chris.
But it feels justified. I don't even try to break free, and now I'm blind to the truth at my side. That we win before we begin if we stand and fight this. Beautiful distraction, keep me hypnotized, and I fall for the enemy. Powerless reaction, I am paralyzed, and now you get the best of me. Is there no one safe from your deceit and lies? I know I've been told this road isn't paved with gold, but I see it glitter now. I'm sold for we're going down, we're going down. Yeah, we're going down, we're going down. We're going down, we're going down. Na 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 na. We're going down, we're going down. Beautiful distraction, keep me hypnotized, and I fall for the enemy. Powerless reaction, I am paralyzed, and now you get the best of me. Is there no one safe from your deceit and lies? I know I'm told this road isn't paved with gold, but I see it glitter now. I'm sold falling slow.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the TTRPG Theater. I am your host, Rob, otherwise known as Phantom NJ, and it is another Thursday. We are in June. My goodness, it is June already, and that feels ridiculous. It feels absurd. Then again, starting at the beginning of this year, I knew the first part of this year was going to fly fast, but I figured May would hang around a little longer. Guess not. That was a little bit of wishful thinking on my part there. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope you're getting some nice weather. We fingers crossed. We've got some nice weather here. Of course, it's nice weather, but it's also the middle of the week. However, I'm actually off. So, of course, with nice weather coming off in 2 days, me being off for 2 days, I developed a little bit of a head cold. So hang there. Hey, Mike, good to see you. Welcome. We are just getting started. This stream is sponsored by Trollord Games, makers of Castles and Crusades, Amazing Adventures, The World of Air, and other fine products. We have a raffle going for a $10 coupon towards any digital product from the Trollord Games website. Hey, Harley, man, good to see you. So exclamation point ticket to enter the raffle, and the raffle will be done at the end of the stream as normal. Yeah, I was just saying. I'm off for 2 days because I got comp time because I worked on Memorial Day, and it's nice out, but I've got like a little bit of a head cold developing, so trying to fight that off because I'm hoping the weekend is still going to be nice. I got D&D on Saturday morning playing with Jay. Let me, I'll give him a shout out now. I'll give him another one when he shows up because he'll show up at some point. He does have a special, another special game tonight. I think it's all the women are playing tonight. I think it's Tiffany Rose Nickel, Amanda, Show Me the Dice, Cherry Blossom. I don't think Myriad is playing because she had medical things. So, but I forget who else is playing. And then I'm playing Saturday. The Saturday game is going to be a little unhinged because it is Sparkles, Mandy, myself, and Korg, Brett, and Curtis. So that game is going to be completely off the rails. I don't I don't know. It's been a while since we've had that kind of group. So I'm waiting to see. Can't wait to see what happens there. So, what are we talking about tonight? I was trying to figure out what it is I wanted to talk about, and something that's become of interest to me lately is, there's been a lot of talk with regards to over the years, the whole question of the Critical Role effect on D&D and the Matt Mercer effect on DMs, which I honestly think that is a vastly, vastly overblown thing. It's never, it's so very rare that I hear somebody experience the Matt Mercer effect first person. It's always they heard of somebody who ran into it, some apocryphal tale of people expecting a game that is a Critical Role style game, which, yeah, no. And for those who are wondering, I mean, the Critical Role effect is kind of, people were expecting, the whole idea is that because of Critical Role, people were expecting their DMs to be a Matt Mercer. Well, they did. And don't get me wrong, I have, in terms of Critical Role, they have absolutely brought a huge amount of people to the game. Here's the thing, though. They are all, every single one of them, Matt Mercer included, they're all professional voice actors. So some of them are, some of them have done straight up acting. Never mind that they're not. I mean, the game legitimately started. It legitimately started as something that they were just playing, and they thought, well, why don't we stream it and see what happens? And it kind of took off. But they're not like amateur, role players by any stretch, by any reasonable stretch of the imagination. As a matter of fact, it's kind of funny because I mentioned the title of the stream is the Warcraft effect on your thing, and one of the players, Laura Bailey, is the voice for one of the big NPC characters in the World of Warcraft. That being Jaina Proudmoore. Though Jaina's part in the story has been kind of gone as of late, or basically since I've gotten back. I don't remember the last time I actually saw her mentioned, but in any case, and she may very well be playing other characters in the thing. She also voices one of the characters, probably my favorite NPC in all of Star Wars: The Old Republic. She's the voice of the Padawan for the Jedi Knight class, and she plays a sarcasm-filled, really dry wit, and always has that zinger line. Easily my favorite NPC. So anytime that they actually add more content for that, I'm always a happy man. Hey, Keith, good to see you. Welcome in. So yeah, without getting whole sidetracked by the whole Critical Role thing, the idea is like, well, people were worried that it's like, okay, well, now they're going to expect their DMs to be this or that, or and their players, and again, they're professional voice actors. Hey, Jay, I literally just I just gave you a shout out just before because we were talking about the fact that you've got the game coming tonight, and then talking about Saturday morning. Good to see you. So, I honestly think, and Critical Role, how long has actually Critical Role been around? Because I know it seemed like they've been around forever, but they really, in the grand scheme of things, not so much. They first aired date March 12th, 2015. Now, in comparison, you've got the various MMOs, and while I did mention the Warcraft effect on your D&D experience, this could very easily be the EverQuest thing. Because there were other games before World of Warcraft. In some ways, World of Warcraft, because of the fact that it got so huge, and it eventually usurped EverQuest as the big game, and it became synonymous with the as far as the MMO RPG experience online. As far as online playing, it's kind of where I wanted to. It's what I can focus on. One, because it's the one that I played. I never played EverQuest. I managed to avoid EverQuest altogether. I was playing Neverwinter Nights, which is literally D&D. The original, not the. It implemented some variation of the third edition rule set, and tried to make the mechanics work for a that kind of experience. And I loved Neverwinter Nights. But it allowed me to avoid the whole EverQuest time. I eventually got introduced to World of Warcraft, and it took hold in 2000. Actually, it is, yeah, it's really honestly about a little just under 19 years ago this month. Probably it might have been a couple weeks earlier than this. I think it was actually in May of 2007, but 2007, probably mid to late May. I know this because I had just gotten separated. And a friend of mine, she had introduced me to the game. She had to. We started playing level 1 character. She had me create a level 1 character. Was going to walk me around for a little bit, and then I had just got. I had created my character, who was a human paladin. For the Alliance, and had ended up in Stormwind when she needed to step out for a bit. She's like, just wander around. You can just wander around the city. It's safe, and we'll do some more adventuring when I get back. And I just happened to wander upon the train, the underground tram from Stormwind to Ironforge. And between that and taking my first flight path, I was sold. I was like, okay, yep, nope, I like this. This is good. But yeah, that was back in 2007. So, a good 8 years before Critical Role took hold. Actually, the funny thing is, Critical Role first came into being right around just about the time, just shortly before I ended up leaving WoW for a good amount of time. So, what is the impact of like World of Warcraft and possibly EverQuest? And I mean, there's others. There's Guild Wars. Guild Wars is. I never played Guild Wars 1. I did play Guild Wars 2. I focus more on World of Warcraft because there's a lot more D&D built into the World of Warcraft system or game. The character classes, you recognize all the character classes. You've got your paladins, you've got your the mages. You've got I don't remember if warlocks. 2007 warlocks. Yeah, the third edition was out, and so warlocks would have been a thing at that point. Your standard fighter types. It was instantly recognizable. It would have been instantly recognizable to anyone playing D&D. The interesting thing about World of Warcraft is the fact that there's a hell of a lot more dragons in World of Warcraft than I've ever seen in D&D. Oh my goodness, there's a lot of dragons, but we'll get to that in just a bit. But so it's the kind of thing where you get sucked in, and for me, I think the big impact, personally for me, there's a couple of things that really struck me, and one was I was always kind of I loved the whole epic story thing from the beginning of basically just D&D in general. Listen, Savage Splendor, good to see you. I mean, I read The Lord of the Rings, as a kid, and then actually by that point the trilogy had come out as far as the movies gone, and of course I got the extended editions and I watched them again and again and again and again and again. I've seen the Lord of the Rings trilogy more times than probably is healthy for one person. Hey, Touch of Evil, good to see you. Seven stream streak, awesome. I love to see it. But it fed into the whole epic story idea, and World of Warcraft. Whether or not the story is good at any given time, I'll leave that up to you. Honestly, the when I started playing, it was Burning Crusade, and I had never played the real time strategy version, so I'd never played like Warcraft 1, 2, or 3. So I was not familiar with the lore. I will say that I felt like the Burning Crusade storyline was very, very disjointed from zone to zone. It did not. It was. I didn't feel it was cohesive. I kind of sort of understood what was going on, but at the time it was more of okay. I had leveled through the starting zones, and the starting zones. I enjoyed the various starting zones because they all had their own. And even just basically the various zones had its own what do you call it? Their own little compact storylines, which is great. Because one of the things we've talked about over and over, and I admittedly I'm terrible at it, is the idea of start small, start local, and work your way out from there. And in World of Warcraft, like each of the zones, like they each had their own story. It changed after the Cataclysm expansion because then everything got kind of tied into the Cataclysm. There was issues there, but Savage One, I agree. Let's put it this way: the WoW movie, if nothing else, it's a good popcorn movie. It's rewatchable. I liked the fact. I wish they had like done more within the cities. It's one of those things where I wish they had kind of planned for more than one film. I wish they had like kind of said, I got the feeling that they made the first movie and they were waiting to see how the first movie did before they decided whether it was going to be a second one. Because there was some cool things, the various locations showing up was cool. I know that there are some who had issues with the way some of the lore was handled. I couldn't really speak to that because by the time I saw it, I vaguely understood what the problem with some of the lore what they were doing with the lore, and I don't think there was. I don't know how much was really egregious there. I mean, my understanding is there were some things that weren't handled quite right, but it was fine. Again, and if nothing else, it was a good popcorn movie. You know, it wasn't like there was really any deep thought required for watching it. You could just get there and enjoy the spectacle of it all. As a matter of fact, I need to give it. I don't. It's one of those movies that kind of like disappeared into the ether. Yeah, popcorn. Popcorn is always a right option. I will tell you that much. But yeah, it's funny. I haven't seen it since the first time I saw it. I think I might have like caught part of it one day, but I couldn't even tell you where it's actually streaming or if it's available via streaming somewhere. Um but I mean I like that they did have various locations. Huh. It's possible that it might be available via Netflix, which I have. That would be interesting. Boy. And apparently it is. Well, that's interesting. Okay, cool. I just with the Champions League season having ended, of course I ended my Paramount Plus subscription like 6 hours too late. I ended up getting charged for the next month, which is going to kind of like put a crimp in how much money I'm actually saving from it because I need to start it up again once the next year's Champions League soccer season starts. But it is what it is. I might save $25-$30 or whatever. But yeah, and I restarted Netflix so I can binge watch everything that I need to binge watch and catch up on because I still haven't seen the final season of Stranger Things. Probably watch the Warcraft movie. Hey, Chris, good to see you. Welcome in. So, um, as far as things that like Warcraft. Oh, I've seen Lower Decks all the way through. And the lower decks Strange New World crossover is absolutely amazing. Um, I if you haven't seen Strange New Worlds, it's just I love the fact that the guy who played Boimer did the Riker maneuver in that show and didn't tell Jonathan Frakes, who was directing the episode, that he was going to do it. He just did it. Oh man, that's called having a set because you pull that move. Um, but yes, Lower Decks is a lot of fun. And yeah, here we go, squirreling again. Um, the in terms of like Warcraft for starters, things that um I can understand that Savage Splendor. I listen. Season one of Picard, it the first two seasons are slow. I can't. I didn't hate it. But it was slow. It was a little frustrating. Um, and again, we're gonna squirrel again because I have thoughts, and I also, like I said, I also have a head cold. So yeah, we're just gonna go with that. Um, Picard season three is definitely because it's a love letter to Next Generation. Season three is 100% fan service, and plus season three also stars Jay's good friend Todd Stashwick. I knew where you were going with this, Jay. Wait, you thought I was going to leave that house? uh, and Todd's character is amazing in season three. Oh my goodness, he I that. He, it would have been so easy for basically anyone who's just kind of thrown in season 3 to get lost in what is pretty much the again a love letter to the next generation. But yeah, Captain Liam Shaw is an extremely memorable character, and the interactions you'd have thought he had just been part of the that group of characters for a long time instead of being someone who's specifically for before that season. Oh man, but yeah, I was that whole thing made season 3 alone worth. But there was also some other really great stuff about season 3. Um, and I'm not going to say anything further because I don't want to give spoilers because it's still relatively recent. But yeah, there's some really good stuff in season 3. They really need to follow up on it with a new show because it deserves it. If they're going to do something new. And let's head back to Warcraft. So things about Warcraft in terms of the impact. I think the most obvious impact on it is for all the talk about other places and the effect of all the different playable races and species or heritages or ancestries or whatever you want, whatever terminology you use for it. It is hard to downplay the impact that World of Warcraft had because orcs, long time they were the enemy in the enemy in D&D. They were bad guys, and it was that simple. And all the other talk about it aside, if that's what you want for your game, if you just need to have an enemy, straight up enemy for your characters to fight, that's fine. It did get me thinking about ways to make the orcs in general, as far as like for when I'm running a game, being more dynamic. Because you have these orc societies, even in the world of Greyhawk. I mean, the Pomarge is filled with orcs. They're not, there's various lands that have orc infestations. The origin stories, yeah, back in time walking, back in time, yeah. What the hell is the name of the one dragon? I kind of winced every time I saw his name because I knew I was going to have to do another series of those adventures going back in time. I was like, no, not a Nixia. It's the specific time. It's a specific one that handles all like the time walking stuff. Now they've got the guy from Pandaria, the Lore Master Cho, but there is the one dragon who always Chromie. I think Chromie is the one the time walking dragon. Yeah, there's a lot of those. So, I mean, starting with, but like I said, starting with thinking about orcs differently, because let's face it, anytime you see the new artwork that people love to rail against, they are it starts from the looks of the orcs, and frankly, I'm not gonna. I'll be perfectly honest. You take a World of Warcraft orc, and I think that looks a hell of a lot better than any of the D&D orc art that I've seen. I mean, and I will die on that hill. They look a hell of a lot more interesting. The just the fact that there's more substance to them. Now, I'm not saying that you need to go having orcs as a playable race. I do think the whole World of Warcraft style, the way World of Warcraft and other games treats orcs as, you know, and it, it's more of a tribal society. They, you know, which is fine. I see. The thing is, my understanding was the pig people thing wasn't supposed to be like that. And I'm not gonna lie, if I can't do pig people and then have half orcs be a thing, it's just not gonna happen. I don't. The whole idea is just, yeah, no, it's disgusting. It doesn't, and honestly, the look of the half orc if you're going with the orcs as pig people doesn't work either. Because they don't have that. Yeah, it no it they to me, if you took the standard D&D art for a half orc and you asked me what the other half was supposed to look like, I would not have come up with that whole terrible, and honestly, I think it's a terrible piece of art, that piece of the orc pig people. I Not my personal thing. It's just not. It is not for me in any way, shape, or form. You know, there. So, but the idea of them as a faction and having their own purpose. That's not to say that they can't be evil. Now, granted, evil is also relative in some cases. Are there things that are, you know, absolutely evil? Yeah. Um, you know, killing a person for no reason whatsoever. Yeah, no, absolutely. Um, but when you take them and you make them something more than just, you know, just, hey, these are the evil guys. You know, they need to be eradicated. No questions asked. Whatever. They're not interesting. They're boring. You know, it ends up being combat for the sake of combat, and it becomes combat for the sake of something to fight, to get experience, to get gold. Sure, I mean, you know, and one could make the argument that a lot of D&D is like that, especially if you're into dungeon crawls. You're there to solve the dungeon, kill whatever gets in your way, and or steal their treasure. Um, there are people who enjoy that type of game. That's not for me. I need more of a story. So, you know, you end up, when you look at orcs as something as more than just there, just an enemy to fight. It allows for more possibilities. It allows for half orcs in a way that half orcs aren't thoroughly disgusting. Because they're just, you know, your options are, you know, your options are non-consensual creation, you know, procreation, or bestiality. Neither one of those, neither one of those is, you know, something I want in my game. Never did. It's probably why they early on did not have a lot of half orc characters in the games I ran. But, you know, going even beyond that, you start thinking about them as a faction having their own, you know, having their own needs, their own, as a group, not just the individuals, but as a group. What do they need? Why are they here? You know, you have in World of Warcraft, you had a thing where the orcs and the elves were fighting in one particular area, over trees, because the orcs needed the trees for logging, and frankly speaking, it's not. There's been times where, you know, straight up people in history have come to blows over, you know, coming to blows over natural resources. Now, granted, in World of Warcraft, the trees have you know, the elves are the elves are kind of literal tree huggers. So it's a bit more. One's here for resources. One is trees are sacred. I, you know, I mean, honestly, in many ways, Savage, that is almost how World of Warcraft treats them. They are, the orcs have the whole honor thing. Maybe not quite to the extent that the Tauren do, which are the the cow creatures, which I thought were, it was a more interesting choice for was an otter archetype for character race. And but the Tauren have that whole honor thing going on. Um, the Drow secret societies, very, especially once you get to the whole once you get the whole Salvatore influence on it, the Drow really do become Romulan in nature. I don't necessarily know that that's what they were supposed to be. Jay's done a hell of a lot more with the Greyhawk version of the Dark Elves. But yeah, like goblins, especially in World of Warcraft, they are they're very, very much Ferengi. It's like, which kind of, they're also responsible for in many ways, at least for my purposes. World of Warcraft is also very much responsible for gnomes changing from what they originally were to more of the silly creatures that they have become. I still like to downplay the gnomes as the the dwarf cousins that they originally were. Which of course is a little rough because Castles and Crusade gnomes do not look anything like dwarves, but that's fine. No, yeah, and hey, listen, that's it's the way to go. You having their societies be more flexible, and again, there are times where what one society needs, another society is going to call. When one society goes after the things that they need, the other's going to call it evil. Sometimes they're evil is one of those things that sometimes is going to be based on your point of view. Are there things that are probably objectively evil? Yes. Is everything that someone would call evil objectively evil? Not necessarily. Um, you know, the other, in addition to the stories and the orc societies and the various player race societies, it also introduced the concept of factions, many factions. Anyone who's played World of Warcraft long enough just winces at the term reputation grind. I'm happy to say that reputation grinds in World of Warcraft are no longer as painful as they used to be, because they are the new ones are all gained across all of your characters on a server, so it's not as bad anymore. But you got used to the idea of all these factions and these recurring NPCs that all served a purpose. People that you were going to be dealing with in the story for quite a while. And then some of them, depending on the faction, they might have implications beyond the given expansion. When the next story starts, they might still be there. And one of the things about world building in your D&D game or in any TTRPG, whatever it is, invasive is a good term for it right here. Scout Grimer, welcome. Thank you for the follow. Really, really appreciate it. Hey, follower goal met 490. We are on the way to 500. This is awesome. I appreciate it. It's an interesting thing that if you want to make your gaming world come alive, have repeat characters, have NPCs that your players get to know. I joke about the fact that my Friday Night Crusades game has gotten out of hand because the players have decided to every NPC. I end up having to take notes because there's a good chance that they want to go back to see that NPC at some point. So I've got a stable of NPCs who they keep talking to. They built up contacts in various areas, but it becomes a world that they're invested in because they know who they need to see or where they need to go to get the information that they need. And again, you can handle, D&D doesn't, D&D or CNC or whatever doesn't really have a reputation system. But as your characters are doing things, as your characters level, they should become known. There should be this feeling that somewhere along the line, and it doesn't have to be this big regional. Everybody in the realm knows. Everybody in the kingdom knows who they are. But depending on what they're knowing, they should be getting the attention of people. Whether it's limited to the local, the city, the nearest towns, the local settlements, whether it's the city, whether hell it could be within the kingdom itself. One of the things that playing in a game like World of Warcraft taught me is the value of having characters gain in reputation. Hey, Stronghold D&D, good to see you, Tim. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. All right, Jay. We'll see you in a little bit. We'll be raiding into Jay in probably about 15 minutes or so. So it the whole reputation, the whole idea of reputation and building your stable of building your stable of NPCs, building your stable of factions. The idea. Granted, while they they do have priests in World of Warcraft, they don't really have churches. There's basically just light. No, Chris, I'm not playing tonight. I am playing Saturday morning. I believe tonight is just the women folk, unless something has changed. I can tell you in a moment who Jay has tonight. But yeah, it's in D&D, especially like you have if you're playing in the World of Greyhawk, especially, you have all the various kingdoms and the rivalries and the different organizations. And Jay spent a lot of time talking over the last month and a half or so about different organizations, whether it's adventuring guilds, churches. And there you go. It had recurring NPCs. I don't get rid of any of them. I try to keep. It's hard to keep track of them all. I will be the first to admit. But I do my best to keep track of all of the NPCs that the characters find interesting. And again, the Friday Night Group loves to collect NPCs. So many NPCs. Oh man, the and when you think about it, even in World of Warcraft, even the dragons have their own factions. You got the different dragon aspects, and the different dragon flights. You've got the blue, the black dragon flight, who all have their own motivations, which makes for it's a little, having dragon flights in D&D is a little heavy-handed, just because dragons themselves are so powerful. But it it should bring forward the idea that um, having a group that they're interacting with is in some ways usually more interesting than having just the one. Because the one character, the one NPC could get killed. Hey, Justine, it's good to see you, Greg. Um, what was it saying? So there's that. Um, what else? What else is there in terms of as far as the Warcraft effect? You know, ongoing story arcs. The one of the interesting things about World of Warcraft is every expansion has its own story arc. Some of their expansions do better about keeping things from the previous expansion. Some not quite as much. One of the things that they do though is occasionally they'll end up going back to it. So it helps if you're looking for ways to have a living, breathing world. Make sure that what happens in the story arc. If you're playing in a given world and you're keeping all of your adventures and all your campaigns in this one place, one world, making sure that anything that impacts it continues to be an impact going forward. Now, I know this can be a bit tricky for some, especially for newer DMs, and especially if when you're a new DM playing in a world like the world of Greyhawk, because you're always worried that someone's going to say, "Well, you're screwing things up." And this is why I hate the term canon. Canon is awful in D&D. Lore, you want lore, because canon breaks the second that you start playing in the world. Unless your characters literally go nowhere and do nothing of any significant impact to anything, canon's going to break. And if you have a one, if you 1 to 20 in regular AD&D was not a thing, but if you do it like say you're running 5e and you do 1 to 20, if you manage to get level 20 and you haven't done anything that hasn't significantly changed things in the world, I tip my cap to you, because that's damn near impossible. Yeah, and my Brad, that's a great point. Things that happen when not observed. My idea of a sandbox is, yes, there's a story. There's the ways that the characters can choose to act in a story, and there's things that are going to provoke a reaction from the characters, from the players, things that happen to them personally, and it may or may not have to do with the larger story, but the bad guys, not necessarily even always the bad guys, just the various antagonists and protagonists, they've got their own idea of what should be happening in this world. So, things are going to go on. And it is up for me, it's a matter of, it's up to the characters how they want to engage, or when they want to engage. Yeah, Chris, absolutely. Every Greyhawk DM creates different Greyhawk timeline. It's one of those things where if you've been running a campaign where say 10 years have let's take 5 different campaigns where playing in the same general part of the world anyway, just to make it clear. If you go 10 years in game time, and I'm talking, game calendar, not how long the players have been playing. By the end of that 10 years, there should be significant changes significant differences in what that world looks like and who the players are and what's left, and than not. Just because, and the world is going to change. Listen. I took exactly 1 year in my campaign before I killed off the king and queen of Nyrond. Yep. The players are dealing with a very, very different kingdom than others are, and I've got zero regrets about it. I now have, I also did advance the timeline. I started off in the future, compared to the current timeline with because the last recorded date as far as in published materials like 591. It would technically be 598 if you were at the end of Living Greyhawk. I went to 620. I went to like 624, because I wanted to get past some of the current stuff, and be able to change some things right at the very start. But yeah, no, it's I even then I've made changes, like one of the former Circle of Eight members has left the Circle of Eight because, well, the current Queen of Nyrond is her niece. So, and considering they're not happy that the king and queen were assassinated by witches. She's taking a more active role in the kingdom. Basically, as far as advising her niece and such, and the players have a major part to play. They've through the years they've been adventuring together, at a game for we're coming up on the third anniversary now. In terms of game time, I think in game, I think we've gone like a year and a half. Because I think I still have them at 525. I will probably switch the calendar to 526 at some point, and that's fine. Hey, drag here. Honestly, the Circle of Eight didn't really exist per se until the City of Greyhawk box set. I think. I think it was the City of Greyhawk box set that they first existed. There was the Citadel of Eight, but the Citadel of Eight were not all wizards. There were some wizards. There was, clerics, fighters, and such. Hey, Keisha, good to see you. Welcome. But yeah, it's bring factions, bring things as far as from like the World of Warcraft. Bring the concept of reputation, not necessarily having it be codified. I mean, if you want to codify reputation somehow in your game, listen, that's it good on you. That's more work than I want to be doing. But the idea that you do grow, your characters should be growing in reputation with different groups. Sometimes to the good, sometimes to the bad, because reputation with evil organizations is also a thing. There's always someone trying to take over the world, and they become more and more aware of those who are there to stop them. Doing a Kingmaker style campaign where the players are hex by hex reclaiming starch. Nice. Okay. There you go. That's and listen, I like the idea. It's especially given it feeds right into the standard Greyhawk lore. That's cool. I like that idea. I have one of these years I will actually hold myself to the starting in a hex and staying within the confines of a hex. It's I think I ran into a problem because when I decided to do Nyrond, you look at the map of Nyrond and it just looks entirely too empty. I still need to add some stuff to the map, and just decide on locations and put them there. Now, okay, the Return to the Giants. That's the one that came out with the 25th anniversary, or was that a 3E game? Nice. Um, it's Timeline 591. Okay, very very cool. And again, Dragonheart. There we go. See, what was I saying? Two versions of Greyhawk in the same area, and two very different situations. So, as it should be, because your game is not your game is not Raskill's, is not mine, is not anyone else's. I mean, yeah, can there be similarities? Great. Should everything be the same? Oh hell no, absolutely not. Because if you're, I mean, if you're doing a cooperative DMing thing, sure, okay, where you're sharing the world and you're kind of deciding what things are going to look like, to a certain extent, without killing player agency, of course, that's fine. But again, outside of a shared, a shared world between various DMs, no, the world should evolve through the story, through the adventures that you run, through the actions of your characters, and they should all end up looking different. I listen. I get that. I get that completely. Drag here. I have in my campaign. You've got the prelacy of Almor doesn't exist. I did keep Almor as the protectorate, being part of Nyrond. However, the Almorians are not happy. They're not overrun by the Great Kingdom anymore, or the remains of the Great Kingdom. Um, but they're not also not free. But they got seriously messed up, and then they were kind of absorbed into Nyrond, and yeah, absolutely, PC should have an impact on the world, even if it's just an impact on a very narrow portion of it, uh, a large area, a particular kingdom, maybe two kingdoms when you're talking about like Sterich and Geoff. Hey, Fraley, good to see you. Welcome in. We are going to be wrapping up in just a little bit. We were talking a bit about, things that you could take from like MMOs and the impact of MMOs, especially World of Warcraft, had on D&D, is especially the way I looked at D&D after I started playing. But yeah, no, again, Drag here, you're absolutely right. PC should have an impact on the world. And DMs should not be afraid to let the PCs change the world. Oh, hey, I mean, listen, getting names for weapons is fantastic. Specialized weapons and named intelligent weapons and such. I'm all for that kind of thing. And also, it's also great if you're looking for like new abilities to throw into the game, and I mean, Jay's added. We joke about the fact that he's brought in Murlocs into his campaign, but he's also brought in different abilities from classes. Like he's got demoralizing. There's a fighter ability in his game. Having demoralizing shout. Um, you know, things of that nature. Um, all right, so I am pretty sure that Jay is gone live by now. Let's take a look at the situation there. I see that he's showing his live. Is he still in the starting screen? Well, we're gonna get to, yeah, we'll get ready. Thank you everyone for dropping in. This kind of as usual, it ended up being a bit of a a race to keep the squirrel contained because again dealing with a little bit of a head cold, so uh, even easier to go off on tangents than it normally was for me. Um, Last chance to enter the giveaway. Exclamation point ticket to enter. We currently have 4 entrants. $10 gift card towards any digital products from the Troller Games site. They've been adding new stuff. There's I think another new expansion for the Codex of Erd. I think there's a couple more adventures that have been released as well. So if you're, good time to get in on it. Um, I am going to go stream ending, and then we will close and do the giveaway. All right. Closing the giveaway in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And drawing a winner. Chris, congratulations. All right, if everyone can hang out, we are going to be rating Lord Kazumba. And again, thank you everyone. Thank you, Scholar Grimer, for the follow. Thank you everyone for showing up, chatting. And we will see you next week. And the ad break, of course, is finishing now. Again, see you next week. Rating in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See you on the flip side.